And we're back with God of War 3 walkthrough. Well, it's not really a walkthrough, it's behind the scenes, but you get the point. We got 3 more videos, and then I'm gonna do my verdict. I didn't think the behind the scenes would be this extensive and this long, but I guess they had to kind of give us what led up to this final project that's pretty freaking cool, actually. Alright.
We're kind of the bridge between the ideas that Stig and the designers come up with and different 3D departments. We help visualize it on paper, painting it up, drawing it up in 2D, and then they take that and actually make the assets for the game.
You have to come up with cool design with limited time. The design also has to make sense to the art director, game director, the lead artist. So it's definitely fun, but it's stressful.
What's usually given to us is a quick description and then sometimes a write-up on whatever that creature or character has to do, their function in game, and there's always sort of a highlight on special abilities or things that we need to focus on.
There's only 4 concept artists here. We all sit together, so we do get to see what we're doing.
I feel like I should know a lot more about Greek mythology by now. I should have my PhD degree or something.
Yeah.
But still, a lot of times, I just sort of make up a lot of things, and it's still a lot of fun.
Right now, as you could see on my monitor, working on Pandora's Cage. This is a final concept design that was proved and it's good to go. But to get to this point, there was a lot of sketches, a lot of color variation, a lot of input that I had to get through. We've tried maybe girls hanging together, or we tried maybe girls holding the fire torch, or we even tried the guys holding a cube, or we even tried the guys holding the torch. So after all this variation, the one got picked, which was this 2 characters, Icarus. Because I mainly focus on environment, I took a lot of pictures of myself. Actually, it was my wife took it for me last night. It's kind of embarrassing to show, but I'm wearing my boxers and just shirt. Just try to come up with the pose that I want, even the back part, the front side, and even the hands. So a little frustrating because I do environment paintings, which deals with a lot of rectangles and cubes and where the light is gonna head and all that. But when it comes to character, it's more organic. For me, it's more difficult.
So that's how they came up with that.
Palace for the Gods. These are the basic thumbnails I showed to director. Then from here, we start to bring in all these location elements where each portion of the buildings are representing different levels. It's not just figuring out the entire look of the place. I also have to figure out how each sections are connected. The actual elevation of the location and how it's connected has to be pretty accurate. Every time I do a second pass on the concept, it raises so many questions again. Feedbacks means change, and after that it raises different questions, and another meeting, and feedback again, and changes. So it started with very ambitious and very inspired task, and then slowly became a big headache. But the funny thing is, you never get to see this scale in actual game, because actual gameplay only takes place in this top section here. Like you see, this entire concept is being drawn out from the entire mountain towards the balcony area where the most gameplays take place.
Yeah, I have noticed that. We didn't get to see, like, the bottom.
One of my most favorite tasks was to create Aphrodite, the goddess of love. My
I bet.
chore, as it were, was to create the most beautiful woman that ever existed in Greek mythology. Here I've got some initial sketches. There's a lot of Greek art that involves, sort of the bare breast and things like that. So we were trying to come up with a way of framing these really feminine aspects of this character without being, like, just vulgar. I originally had her
Vulgar,
hair
huh?
bound up very Greek-like, but they really wanted it hanging down. This is the final three-quarter view of Aphrodite. As you can see, some of the stuff that I had originally concepted in the other pieces did stay. One of the mandates for the character was that she have a girdle made by Hephaestus. Some of the backstory is that Aphrodite was given as a wife to Hephaestus by Zeus. In original Greek mythology, she cheats on Hephaestus by bedding down with Ares, the god of war, the original god of war. He punishes her by catching her in a trap with Ares and sort of parades the two of them in front of the other gods to shame them. And she was ashamed. She's a naughty girl. But in our story, he just kept her trapped. We've got various somewhat sexy, bondagey entrapments that we've worked up. So the modelers will take this and build, you know, Aphrodite in the flesh. And I must say, I'm really looking forward to see what they do with it.
I bet you are.
How long it's been since a real man has come into my chambers? Those bridges outside are nearly destroyed. Zeus refuses to have that stupid mortal Daedalus stop working on his precious labyrinth to fix them.
I bet he was excited to kind of create the concept art, the visual development on that, the visual development of. Oh, you know what he means.
I'm Max Ankar, the senior effects artist, and working on God of War 3. This is my new helper or friend.
Wow, that doesn't sound right.
Hold on.
Are you sure he's your friend?
I speak in clicks. Okay, wait, hold on. Ready? This is my partner, Jesse.
Wow. Oh, jeez.
I'm working on God of War 3 here, making the greatest effects. Got a partner now, Jesse.
Dear God.
It's going to be great having some help on God of War 3. And, yeah, cool.
Gosh, how many takes? Is that fake blood?
And find out all these different movie special effects, kind of duplicated what they did. We filmed the blood and the idea that maybe we could use some of it for textures.
Yeah! Oh, that's a condom with blood. That doesn't sound right. I have to admit, that's pretty cool. Those are condoms with blood. Now, kids, if you see that, that's not a good sign. Ew! Why'd you not use gloves?
Instead of the last one just leaking out, this one should spray like kind of like more like an artery.
That's what she said. Oh wait, no, that doesn't sound right.
Oh, that's pretty great.
And what we found out the simplest one was just like kind of like a water bottle filled up with movie blood. And that kind of gave them almost best squirting effect out of all the blood.
I think we got some good blood today. I know my partner here, Jesse, sacrificed a lot to help out. He donated the blood for us. And
You're drinking the blood? What?
I'm really glad we had Jesse here.
I hope that's Gatorade.
He's sweet. Yeah, Jesse's really sorry. Jesse, watch out. Okay. Thank you.
We used a couple little parts of it right here. This is the film blood. You got a series of images that you rendered out. You put those on the polygonal cards, and that's what you're throwing out of the particle system, basically, or splatting on the ground. That's kind of what's going around in the game, is the little blood splatters when Kratos gets hit or enemies get hit.
Wow. The visual effects was actually pretty cool. Yeah, most of the majority of the, pretty much all the behind the scene videos were actually pretty unique. Even the Stan Lee cameo, that one got me. I was like, whoa, before COVID times. Way before COVID times. Now he's dead, and now it's kind of, it's just jarring, you know? Or it's nostalgic. because it was a time where the MCU was big, and before that, I mean, we kind of knew about them before MCU. Crazy times, right? All right, last video, and then I'm gonna do my verdict video like usual.
This recording session for God of War that we're starting today is the culmination of a lot of preparation. This is definitely the most complicated session I've ever put together.
Oh, absolutely.
I'm gonna go get a sweatshirt. We should go in the other room while we can, huh?
One of you here and one of you here. How close do you need to be? Here, just duck under the microphone. We need to take a couple minutes to readjust where things are. I'm a little nervous about this session, just the number of variables. We've got a lot going on. 2 actors at a time. We've got a lot of people going to be at the session. We've got facial capture, we've got teleprompters, we've got all kinds of stuff. It's a new studio. There's room for error, but I like to think that I've nailed everything down before we got there. But I'm definitely, my breath's coming a little shorter today than it normally does.
I bet.
We are moments away.
What was it, Kratos?
All I remember is what I have lost.
That's J.C. Carson.
You should give me the power. I understand its true meaning. And
my character, I like to think of her as she thinks she's doing something good, but in reality, she's trying to take over the world.
Kratos, she is the key to our revenge. I trust you to do the right thing, Kratos.
You shouldn't.
Kratos, I found out, is a piece of me that I kind of didn't know existed. It's kind of a dark side that it really is fun getting a chance to explore.
I delivered your revenge on Zeus.
My vengeance ends now. I owe you nothing!
I can't believe that small guy.
During the room, you're able to come up with a rhythm. It makes it more real.
I really, really like it. It gives you a chance to play off of what the other person is doing as opposed to doing it by yourself.
We're getting so much from this performance that we wouldn't normally get. I'm totally stoked about it right now.
You owe me this, Kratos.
I owe you nothing!
Bravo. That's perfect. Awesome.
Excellent.
That was it.
But they toned it down.
Come back. I've never worked with the prompters, and it's really freeing for the actor because you're looking straight ahead instead of always, face down in the page, and it's really a cool experience.
Find the labyrinth! Please help! Kratos!
One of my favorite things to do is scream. I really, I don't know why. Maybe, I don't know why.
Don't you play Terra?
I saw Zeus torture my father. I just try really a simple approach to it. It's bringing those words into your character and actually thinking a thought before it. It makes it more real. They called me a monster.
Beautiful. Natalie was new. We had never worked with her before. She was an ace. She totally knocked it out of the park.
Many more variables than a normal voiceover session for a game today, and it went very, very well. I'm happy with how today turned out.
It's phenomenal.
Let's see Clancy Brown.
That's all that really matters is Stig is happy, and if Stig's happy, we're all happy.
He seems happy.
Who is Hercules? Well, it was
oh, crap!
on TV, so this is a whole different look. I didn't quite have that look. I had kind of more gear on, and I didn't weigh 4,000 pounds. This guy's like about 12 feet tall.
Kevin Sorbo.
Labors. Ha!
There you go. That was good. That was really good. Yeah. Kevin Sorbo was obviously an easy choice because he's Hercules, but not necessarily in terms of the way that he's played Hercules in the past. A little bit of a departure.
Can we get, but this time, brother, more seething.
But this time, brother, this time I will destroy you.
That's good.
In this game, he's a much darker brute. He's not the brightest light bulb out there, but at the same time, when it comes to war, he's brilliant.
The direction is more pissed.
Okay. As pissed as you can get.
The most valuable I can be is to take what the creator of the game has been imagining and seeing on paper for a long time and bringing it to life with the voice, and trying to find different ways to get to actors to achieve what he wants to do.
Try one thing, if you would, Kevin.
Yeah.
Take the breath after stables, and then you can finish off the phrase.
Okay.
The most frustrating thing about doing voiceover is the amount of time you've got to do each line. You've got to repeat it, but you've got to also do it in so many different ways, so many different inflections, and you end up losing your voice.
Have you not killed enough of your family?
Good. That's very good. It was a slam dunk. He really brought a passion to the character. He was very professional. His voice was kind of running out. That's when he gave some of his best stuff.
It's kind of sad. Kevin Sorbo can't really act because
He's not even close to it. So it was a darker and more sinister person and a more evil person to deal with and play. But you know, from my standpoint, it was a lot of fun.
Video recording. Very excited about it. Today we're doing Rip Torn and
Oh wow, he's dead.
mythology. This guy's like the Smith god, and he's like
Always the Vulcan.
yes, exactly.
The Roman name for Hephaestus is Vulcan.
Gosh.
He's the god of fire and he's a great blacksmith.
Wow.
The greatest thing you have on stage is the other actor.
Wow, he's been dead for 3 years now.
Entertainment, and they are movies, and you can get involved in it. It kind of gives you a semblance of what live theater used to be when you had audience participation. Yeah, I kind of look like that.
Ghost of Sparta. It is you. Well. I thought Zeus would have killed you by now.
Oh, Malcolm McDowell.
Daedalus.
Oh, and what does he do?
He's the inventor. He also created the labyrinth.
Labyrinth? Wow. And where is the golf course?
It's really cool. Eat lunch with Malcolm McDowell. You can't beat that.
You really can't.
That will give me the power to bring my son back to me. Where is my boy? You bastards!
That was awesome.
Man, I wish.
Protected with one more, please.
Oh, we're not gonna go protecting all these takes, are we?
Yeah,
Don't
we
tell
are.
me we're gonna do 2 fucking takes. Why don't you just use a bit of proper tape? Why do we have to do 2 takes of everything?
Well, because we.
Not for protection.
Yeah.
Oh, come on.
Let's listen to it.
That's
Let's listen to it.
nonsense.
And we're going to listen to one line, be right with you.
Okay. You don't mind, right? Because it's really, if I'm in a jag and it's going, it's going.
I hear you.
Malcolm McDowell.
Could we do the line to escape it, please, one
Yes.
more time?
Tell me what you need.
The word catalyst had a little bit of a squirtle to it.
Okay?
Okay?
Squirtle.
When you're ready?
Okay. To escape it, we must assemble it.
Actors are so varied and so different in the way they work, and to find what that key in there is and unlock that door with them and then be able to play is really a challenge and a kick at the same time.
He said that if I took the liquid fire and the sling, oh my boy, oh my child.
You know, I actually like that. That's different than what we thought.
Terrific, thank you.
I like it.
Vengeance on the king of gods. You'll need an army of gods. And weapons. Of course, weapons. I could build. I could use the fire of Hades. Wait, please. Please, wait. Free me. Free me from my torture.
We're good. We're good.
Thank you, Spot. Thanks, Spartan. I say I say squatter.
We're not used to people coming in here and nailing it, so like basically knocking it out of the park like this. So we had more time. So
Well, no, okay. Well, listen, I just thought, oh my God, I thought I had reams and reams, and I had to do everything twice. It was like, oh my God, if you've got it, you've got it, right?
right, yeah, we got some great stuff.
Great.
It's fantastic.
Terrific.
Good.
Thank you. My pleasure. To work with Malcolm McDowell and Rip Torn in the same day.
Same day, yeah.
I know.
Wild experience.
Yeah.
It's fascinating to me, too, the different acting styles, because Malcolm McDowell is very much the Royal Shakespeare Company, and it comes in, you know, word for word like that. And Rip Torn
is more of the old actor studio, and he's a little bit up and down and nowhere, but out of that comes a gold of its own kind.
There's an extra level of dimension and texture that we got to them that's just through the fact that they're fucking good actors.
Now that we've
Yeah.
got the recording part of it down, my stress level has decreased a great deal.
Now you can have a glass of wine.
Now I can have a glass of wine.
You are the reason I live in torment.
He told me he would kill you.
He can't. Perhaps he did allow me to kill the Nemean lion, but he made your name known amongst the people. A fierce warrior, a killer made a hero, a man made a god.
But you, what have you done with my child? My boy, where is my boy?
Your son is dead, Daedalus.
My boy, my child, no, no, no!
Wow. Yeah, it's too bad they didn't show Clancy Brown and the rest of the actors and actresses. That's okay. Okay. That was actually exciting than it should have been. Alright, let's see if I can turn the music down. Oh gosh, now we can hear his angry breathing. Gosh. Alright, now that I have actually, yes, I actually have done the challenge mode before. And, yeah, I have done it before. I am just choosing not to do it, just so we can move on to a certain sequel that I've been talking about the entire, I guess, is this my 17 or 18 of God of War? Doesn't matter. Anyway, what's my final verdict of God of War 3 Remaster? Or really just God of War 3? 9 out of 10. Instantly. Yes, definitely. Okay, so what's the complaint? The story. The story that they built up in the first two that I actually haven't played fully, but they actually had a... Wow, that angry breath is terrifying. It's like, with the Pulse 3D headset, you can literally hear his angry breathing. I'm sorry I put to take away from that verdict, but it's kind of freaking me out. Like, you can actually hear his rage, breathing. He's actually very pissed off. He's breathing through his nose. Anyway, the story that they built up in the first two, when we start 3, it has a fantastic opening. But anyway, get into the negative. Its story, just from the beginning until it got to the ending, but the story was kind of one note, generic. They didn't really build a whole lot of the story. It was just like, if you can sum it up, Kratos is getting revenge on Zeus because of the previous games, really the last game, and he goes up to Mount Olympus and kills everybody in his way to get to one man. He pretty much Doom's Greek mythology, as you can see in the background. But yeah, it's just the story that they worked so hard to do in the first two. They took a step back, like the story took a back seat to focus on the sense of scale, graphics, artistic design, and everything else. Because all that time that they could have built up Kratos' character arc and storyline, they kind of waited towards the last 20-30 minutes, as you guys probably saw in my Zeus boss battle. I mean, they really took the time, or when they got to Pandora. When we got to Pandora, then yeah, they gave him a character arc, and then we were starting to be sympathetic until I say it's too little too late. They just had all that time to build onto Kratos' story arc and storyline of what this was building to, but they decided to just go to spectacle, boss fights, boobs, sex, and violence and gore. That's where they went, and that's okay if they wanted to go that direction. But just all that build up with the trailers that it was going to be the resolution to the trilogy they built up, I just felt like the story could have been handled better. But hey, as I saw the behind the scenes, I was not in part of the room, so maybe there was a reason why they decided to just focus on killing bosses, all that. I guess they wanted to really push the PS3 envelope in terms of like just change everything, and they did. They really did. This is kind of one of the games that is remembered fondly from the PS3. But yeah, I think that's where the story, it just took it's way too long to get interesting, but man, everything in between, just not the story. You're not going to write home about the story. I was actually kind of disappointed with the story. They fixed it in 2018. They thoroughly and succeeded in 2018. And 1 and 2. I just don't think they succeeded in 3 until the ending. Now, let's get to the positive. That's my only complaint. It wasn't hard. The positive of God of War 3 was, well, one thing, the sense of scale. That alone defines, or that alone deserves its own category. The sense of scale, and I've seen the behind the scenes, all of them. The sense of scale that they took the time to kind of show us what was going on around Kratos. Even it just showed Kratos as a little piece of a big cog, and that's what they accomplished on. The Poseidon boss fight just gives us a good sense of the scale, and even at the opening, that sense of scale, and just kind of zooming out when it needs to be with cinematic gold in terms of a cinematography. The sense of scale of everything happening around us or zoomed in, it just made us feel like there's a bigger universe than where Kratos is showing, and it just succeeded every time. You want to learn the sense of scale. You want to see everything that's going on, and seeing behind the scenes of what they were thinking, of why they zoomed in the camera for certain scenes, and why they zoomed out, or why they moved the camera angle. It's pitch perfect. It's perfect. That sense of scale and that camera shots were just fantastic throughout the whole time. Kratos is still terrifying me with that kind of angry, pissed off look. But anyway, we're going to continue on before he goes through the screen and probably murders me. But I just like saying the sense of skill because it was fantastic from the opening to the beginning. I mean, the opening to the ending. And it just kept getting better, especially. Perfect examples of the sense of scale was storming Mount Olympus for the first time, the Poseidon fight, and the Kratos fight, especially the Kratos fight. Just that sense of scale. I didn't think they would go there, but they did. And it paid off for it. Now, what else was well done, too? Visually and artistically. They didn't even need to do it artistically. Case in point, Kratos. The graphics, visually and artistically, just popped. And it was just fantastic the entire time. This is from the PS3 era. Sure, it's a remaster, and they added more lighting and just more technical prowess in a sense. But man, you just see it. Just from Kratos' kind of skin, how he flexes muscles compared to the first two. If you look at the first two, you'll see it as night and day. But the graphics are fantastic from the environments that are just eye-poppingly good to look at. To the character models, to the enemy design, to the blood and gore. I was like, there's just so much magnificence with the artistic and the visual design. It's crazy. It's absolutely crazy from the PS3 era. That's what we got. And it was a resounding success. And I have seen the behind the scenes, all of it. So it was kind of, it tickled me fancy just to see the artistic and the visual designs that went into creating these characters. Mythology, Kratos upgraded from what he was in the first two to what we got now. Dude, it's just crazy. It's actually crazy of how good it is. Is it better graphics than Uncharted? It's a tie, but man, God of War just delivers. God of War 3 delivers in his graphics. It's just all over the place. That there's always a site, there's always an environment, there's always a character model that you're just like, that's just way too realistic. It's crazy. It's absolutely crazy. And the final finished designs for the behind the scenes of what these characters were like and what they became like, that's pretty freaking cool. Now, other thing that I'm going to confide it just to kind of condense this kind of final verdict, the combat and the boss fights, I will combine them, but they were fantastic. It's classic God of War that you have seen from the first two. Like, if it ain't broke, don't fix it, but they added some new stuff. New kind of like blood and gore, like the nit and gritty. Like when you're pulling up the Cyclops eye or just like the visual gory details, just the brutal combat that you have from the first two, it's just elevated and it's just like turned up to 11, and you feel so powerful. And plus, it helps that we have the boss fight to match the intensity. The boss fights are puzzles, but they're intense. They're intense boss fights, and they're fun to fight every time. I was like, there's not a boss fight. Correction. There's not a weekly boss fight. There are just like, you're done, like in a few second boss fight, but there are some boss fights that are just like, they took the time to craft it into kind of like a perfect synergy of everything else that happened, except for the story. But the boss fights were just fantastic. Like I said, they matched the intensity, and it just kept you guessing and kept you tripping and utilizing all your weapons. Also, special mentions, because the combat is just like, it's precise. That's what makes it well. It's precise. You have to master it. It's just fantastic the entire time. There's just so much like combat variety. It's brutal. It's really brutal that it really should be, and it was appropriately brutal because of the first two. So of course the third one had to crank it up by 11 and make it more brutal. And it succeeded. So much succeeded. Plus, along with the combat, the weapon assortment of weapons that you get, the new weapons that you lose all your weapons from God of War 2, which might suck, but you get a great assortment from basically the Blades of Exile, the Claw of Hades, the Fisting. Whoa, sorry. The God of War Fist. And the Electrocution Whip, or the Nemesis Whip. I think that's what it's called. But all the weapons that you get in the side weapons, they're all useful. They're all integral to Kratos' revenge. And they are awesome. Because it's just so variety, and it just feels like all of them are integral. They're not just throwaway weapons just for getting weapons. They are integral, and they gel well. They gel well with the combat so well. Excuse me, I was talking a lot. But yeah, it's just that the weapons are also just fantastic use. They feel so nimble, and they just feel right. And you can just nail combos in the best way possible. I can't complain. They are fantastic. I can't complain. Another thing that is well done too is the music. I don't really pay attention to music especially that well, or in some of my further videos, the music is not always acknowledged. This is one I have to acknowledge. From the opening to the ending, yeah, the music is just, and I have seen the behind the scenes. It was great. It's a great tribute to them of the music. But the music is bombastic. It's, how do I describe it? It's bombastic. It's cinematic. It feels great in the quiet mode. It feels good for the, the sexy moments. It feels good from it's all appropriate. It's appropriate from the opening to the ending. Because of how cinematic it is. They nailed it. As we saw in the behind the scenes, yes, they probably have to be a lot of takes to get to that point, but you can't complain because it's just a great final product. Every music accompaniment, even when nothing's happening, it just fits so well. Because of how fitting it is. It's very fitting. The music director, and they got 5 musical directors to be in this game. That's a crowning achievement. Just to get the final product. There you go. Okay, and 2 more things I highly enjoyed. The behind the scenes. It was cool to see the development that came into creating God of War 3 after God of War 2. And what kind of the changes to the developers. The changes, or what actors they brought that, like the Stan Lee cameo, or Kevin Sorbo, or Rip Thorne, or Malcolm McDowell. Just seeing what all went into this project and the years. This happened before pre-COVID times. It was such a welcome treat and a kind of great Easter eggs, and kind of nostalgic because there are 2 actors who are dead now, like Stan Lee and Rip Thor, it's just a welcome treat to see them, but it's cool to see the creative development of different teams, multitude of teams, just using their talents and kind of get some good jokes too. Yeah, great jokes. But it was cool to see the commentary of what led up to this game. I always like learning about the commentary, and it did not disappoint. It just feels like a lot of work went into this, and it was cool to see the kind of the before and the after effects of what we got. Rain to sets. I'm not gonna doubt that they did a lot of crunch time. I'm not gonna doubt that they probably went overnight and had sleepless nights to get this to what they had to perfection like this. I imagine it took a very freaking long time. And I imagine not everybody got along with different departments or didn't get a lot of individuals. They had to do that for the documentary. I highly doubt that everybody wanted to continue with God of War 2018. I imagine they wanted to stop. This was their last game. I imagine a lot of people left this project after God of War 3. Case in point, Stig. He went to Respawn Entertainment in 2014. And most of these probably developers and every department, they probably moved on to other departments after God of War 3 in 2010 at least. But just seeing all this behind the scenes of just all the creativity, the hardship, the kind of sweat and tears, and kind of the fun, even though it might seem like they were fake and they were probably just doing that for the documentary. But just the fact that we got this final product that should have not worked in 2010, but it freaking worked. That's enough said. And the last thing in terms of my video, or my last thing of my verdict, what I enjoyed was the ending. The story could have been just generic and kind of one note with the characters, and we didn't really get the character development until the last 20-30 minutes. It was the ending. I very much enjoyed the ending to this day. Period. What it did well in the last kind of 20 to 30 minutes, they finally gave character the resolution that he deserved. So they gave him character development, forgiveness, redemption that they built up in the first two games. They just didn't have time to actually focus on it because this had to be the last of the trilogy. But what I mean is, Kratos finally gets his redemption kind of forgiveness arc, and it just made sense to do it in the last 20-30 minutes. But he's acknowledging his past failures and what he did to kind of mess up his life, killing his own family for the first one, killing Athena in the second one, spoiler for God of War 1 and 2, but sorry, those games are years old at this point. But yeah, going into the center of his mind to just kind of find himself and just kind to move past his pain and his rage. But before that Zeus battle that it was leading up to from the very beginning of the game was fantastic. After a fantastic opening and then kind of a meandering story, then we get a fantastic ending because of the Zeus boss fight character, and then Kratos gets his character development arc trying to save Pandora, even though he lets her die after his pursuit of vengeance. And then how he basically betrays Athena, but really he kills himself and then releases to Hope and all that. I just feel like that's a great character arc, and then that great stinger towards the end of the credits of him going to quit. That would be a closer. You would be done. It might be implied that Kratos survived, but that was such a great stinger. We didn't get any other God of War besides spin-offs, but we really didn't get an official sequel to God of War 3. It would have been done. I would have been satisfied. Because I think Kratos got a fantastic ending compared to his character arc that happened in 3, but he got a fantastic character arc ending. Because of that he doomed Greek mythology, he realized what he did wrong, and then he saved civilization. He didn't have to do it, but he did. And then, of course, the final beatdown until you can press circle to beat Zeus multiple times, and you just don't stop. You just don't stop. It's such a fantastic gameplay mechanic. I didn't think the developers would go there, but they did. I'm actually surprised they went there. That's what made the ending pretty good to epic. it didn't have that, it wouldn't have much impact. And then just having that stinger worked too. Yeah, everything gelled well, and especially the ending too. So, yeah, I think a 9 out of 10 is very fitting. I think the story holds it back from what it could have been. In terms of the story, I just felt like they should have focused on Kratos, kind of what they built up in the 2, but they just left it alone just to make room. I get it, I probably get their mindset, not fully, but I get it. They wanted to have spectacle or quality over quantity in terms of the story, and they just wanted to actually have big spectacle instead of have actually a perfect story. They already told great stories in the first 2. Why waste the time in 3? I think that's disappointing, but I think we got a great story, and well, I think we get an excellent story in God of War 2018. Enough said. So, I hope you guys enjoy my videos. Of course, leave a subscribe, leave a like. I have turned my comments off for the time being, so of course leave a like, or I guess we don't have dislikes anymore. So, leave a like, subscribe, and stay tuned, and you guys are going to be in a welcome surprise. So, go take your break. Go outside. Go do whatever.